Hello and welcome to part 2 of Barrington Hare's Merlin engine build, and there's plenty to see on this one. Conrods milled and finished on the engraving machine. There's the Supercharger, which has an extraordinary amount of detail and every part of it works perfectly. Spark plugs. Where do you get spark plugs for your Merlin? Valve gear. Split collets with 2mm internal diameter. How do you cut gears on a milling machine? I don't pretend to understand that part. And the details, the maker's plates, photo etched, so they look exactly as they should. Engraving, not only on the Merlin, but also on parts of Bluebird. And sometimes parts fail and Barry has to cut his coils open to find out why. So grab a chair, grab a brew, sit down and enjoy. So when you said there was, I said, oh, little castellated nuts, there's no split pins in. And there was. I take it you made all the split pins, you didn't go to
No, split pins are bought.
You bought them?
Yeah, you can get them down to...
that small?
You can get them down to a 64th diameter.
Oh, wow. Right. So you cheated on them, you bought
the castellated nuts, obviously, I had to make.
So were they little bits of hex and you milled the tops, milled the slots in? And what are the conrods?
The conrods are all, again, machined from N24. Jigs involved, obviously, for profiling, but the engraving machine was used for some of the processes, I think, but generally speaking it was all just repeating on the miller. Jigs to hold them and away you go. Here's
a one I'd like to know. Valves and springs and collets and valve spring caps. I mean, where did... Right, let's start with the valves. Now, as some of you know, I went off to visit with Merlin Pete a couple of weeks ago, Peter Grieve, to get a look at and get my hands on some of the actual parts that you see here in Rolls Royce's illustration. And this is what they should look like. So these are Merlin valves. Oops. They're genuine Merlin valves.
They are, yeah.
And that one, that's the exhaust.
It is.
That's the bigger diameter because that's sodium filled.
That's correct.
Getting on to Barry's engines, these valves must be 3/4 of an inch long.
They must be, mustn't they?
They must be.
Yeah.
Did you just machine those from EN24?
The valves are machined EN24 again.
So you just made them from scratch? Yeah. Right, I can see how, even I might get to a valve that looks a bit like a valve. It wouldn't fit, but look like a valve, I can get that. But valve springs are flat top and bottom.
Yeah.
As a rule. So
they were bought.
You bought them?
Yeah.
So, but what did you buy them as? Because you couldn't, go on Amazon and say, I want a set of 5th scale Merlin valve springs.
I can't remember whether they were off the shelf or whether they were made specifically. They could have been made specifically from memory.
Right.
But there again, memory evades me.
Are the twin valve springs or single ones? Or the twin springs are single ones?
No, it's a single spring, I think.
Single spring.
Yeah.
And then you've got the little, if this works true to all the engines I've had in bits, you've then got the cap.
Yeah.
And the split collets.
Yeah.
Well, bearing in mind the valve must be 3/4 of an inch long.
Yeah.
And what, 3/16 in diameter?
The head, yes. The shaft is about a 16th diameter.
So you got a 16th diameter shaft, and you got a cap. Again, I can see how you'd make the cap. What about the collets? How do you make little collets? Yeah. And then I got on about the caps and the split collets. And this is a split collet, yeah?
It is, yeah.
So there's 2 of them. You go on the top of here. And that must be, what, 10mm diameter?
Yeah, it looks about that, doesn't it? So,
so that means your split collet needs an internal diameter at 5th scale.
2mm?
2mm.
No, really?
Yeah, and then you've got, what?
Unbelievable.
And then you've got 48 of them. Yeah, is that right? So you got to make
48 valve.
Well, you need 24 that size, and they're a smoot bigger. They're about a 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
So you need 24 of them, 24 of them.
So that's 2.5mm, that one.
2.5 mil. And I said, Barry, where did you get the springs? I bought those. So he bought the springs. But yeah, just again for scale. It's mad, absolutely mad.
I've forgotten, quite frankly.
I wanted to know that one. Never mind all the people out there in YouTube land. I want that one.
But obviously they turned as a plain bore with a conical outside.
But they're split, aren't they?
Yeah. And they must have been, I must have split them after I'd turned them.
Yeah. I don't know, Where did the spark plugs come from?
Spark plugs are made.
You made them?
Yeah. They're not difficult to make.
No, of course not.
Because they're...
Everybody makes spark plugs.
yeah.
I haven't seen all of these.
Plugs.
What are they? What are they? They're spark plugs. Wow. I'm trying to get that to focus. Focus.
No, I think that was the Merlin ones.
That's a Merlin spark plug. They're in a little box. Hang on, I'm going to zoom this up a bit. Let's try again. Can I just borrow one of them for a second a bit? Oh, no. I don't want to hurt anything. Yeah, that is a Merlin spark plug. That is ridiculous. Right, let's put that back in the box of Merlin spark plugs. And it says Merlin on the lid.
Yep. Now, essentially, I managed to buy ceramic insulators that was bonded into the body of the plug with a ceramic cement, and the electrodes are platinum wire. The gap probably only about 5 thou at the most, but again, it's repetition that was the boredom rather than the technical problem.
But did you're saying the spark plugs, did you have to machine the ceramic?
No.
No?
No, it was just bonded in as a straight ceramic.
Right, right. And then you've got things like, I love the little cam covers with Rolls Royce in them. So I presume they were cut from solid.
Yep.
And then finished by hand.
Yep.
And then the Rolls Royce went in with your engraving tool.
Well, that's the beauty of having an engraving machine.
Is that the same engraving machine that you used to do all the stuff for Bluebird, all the little placards and stuff on the field? Yeah, same machine. So
it's an old Taylor Hobson, I think it's a Type C. I bought that years ago, mainly because it was obtained fairly cheaply, but it's been worth its weight in gold.
Yeah. Because we sent us a couple of bits of plain aluminium and a wrecked HP fuel control, and then a week later that beautiful block tube thing arrived with all the right engraving, all the right fonts, all the little maker's plate, everything on it. And I remember in the workshop we unwrapped it because, oh, clever Barry's made that thing, and he's only had it a week. And we unwrapped it in the workshop. We're just, where the hell has this come from?
Yeah.
Right down to the crinkle finish and the amazing thing. So that was the same machine that did that. So what about I've seen pictures of the inside of the gear case on your Merlin. So all those gears, I remember Peter Grieve, I remember Merlin Pete saying to me that he looked at that and it was just a real Merlin gearbox, only small. He didn't say it was a faithful copy. He said that is a real Merlin gearbox. Just so how did you cut all the teeth and that sort of thing? Are they all milled?
Well, basically, before I started the Merlin, I'd intended to do it, but I needed equipment to do it with.
Right.
So I built a dividing head which was half size of a commercial German unit. Now, that's a completely universal dividing head that I made adapters for it on the milling machine. It can gear up to the main cross slide spindle. That means that gearing the two together with a unit from the vertical head on the miller, I could use gear hobs to cut the teeth.
Right.
It's difficult to describe it without showing drawings of it, but essentially what it is, it's a drive that takes from the vertical head of the miller through a universal shaft to the input end of the dividing head.
Right.
So that by changing the gear ratios on the dividing head, with the hob inclined on the vertical head to its helix angle, you can cut any number of gear teeth you need.
Right.
I again intentionally bought what I could find in the way of gear hobs, and fortunately I found 90% of the gears I needed I've got the hobs for.
Right.
So the only awkward items were the bevel gears, because there again they're awkward to cut, but It's an involved process, cutting bevels with normal gear cutters. But we can go into that in detail some other time. But no, the gears were quite easy to cut in once I'd got the equipment.
Yeah, I did wonder how you'd done that, whether you'd improvise or whether you got some proper gear, some proper kit. So what about the likes of the... Now, I know you told me that on the Eagle engine, which we'll get to again some other time, that you wound, correct me if I'm wrong, you wound the magnetos with wire that was 1 thou diameter, if I remember right.
Or smaller than 1 thou.
Smaller than 1 thou. Yeah. That you unwound from mobile phone earpieces. And then you made the magnetos for the Eagle engine by winding tiny magnetos. Yeah. Those ones make sparks. The Merlin ones, do they only make sparks when they're running?
Yeah, they did. But I don't think they were quite powerful. So basically, although the magnetos work, for running the engine, or starting the engine anyway, I use booster coils. Essentially what it is, it's an energy storage system that boosts the coil on the magneto.
Right.
And that seemed to work very well.
But once it's started, it's completely self-sustaining on its...
The own magnetos will do it.
Right. So where did that wire come from? Did you unwind something for that, or... Did you unwind something to make those, or did you...
No, I bought the wire.
You bought the wire for that one. Because this is a thing that maybe people don't know. We had igniters on Bluebird that were the old 1959 things that had been underwater for 34 years. And they were shot. And Barry cut them to bits and rewound them 4 times till we cracked all the problems. Yeah. And
well, the winding magnetos is a bit of a black art.
Yeah,
you never know whether they're going to work.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we had one just fail and we had one blue fuses. But I remember saying to Barry one day, you know, how on earth did you learn to wind magnetos like this? To which I got the reply I'll never forget. Oh, misspent youth. I misspent a lot of mine, but it never involved magnetos.
The miniature magnetos, the coils were, well, I couldn't do them now. The wire, as I say, was about 46, 48 gauge. The total size of the coil after it's finished is about 1/2 inch diameter and 7/16 of an inch long. Now in that, there are about 10,000 turns interleaved with tissue paper, which is about 2/10 thick.
So this is in a unit about...
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, it's about the size of a postage stamp. Yeah.
To handle the wire is a nightmare.
And did you do that on the same machine that you did Bluebird's igniters on?
No, it was a special rig.
Oh, right. Because I remember ringing one day to see where you were, and your good lady answered the phone and said, I'll go and get him. I remember you came to the phone a bit, what do you want? Because I've got 10,000 turns of wire going on and I'm covered in epoxy resin. Oh, sorry, bad time was it, Barry? Yeah. And all the braided, all the braided wire.
The braiding was bought.
You bought that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I eventually found it was a company in Bedford, but I think they've disappeared now. But it was commercial braiding, stainless steel braiding.
So when you rang them up and said, look, I need some teeny tiny little, and it's got to go here with 6 branches on it, and then up to, and did they just make it up and you trimmed it to size?
No, you just buy the length and then terminate it yourself.
Right, got you. And then you've got things like the Supercharger. The 2-stage Supercharger.
The Supercharger's scale, the gearing is scale. So basically, although the engine is running at about, if the engine runs up to 4,000, the speed of the Supercharger is only about 3 times that, so it does bug it all. Right. It makes nice noises, but that's about it.
Yeah, you can't scale the aerodynamics, can you?
You can't scale that.
No. But it all functions, it's all in there.
Oh yeah.
And presumably all the impellers and such were cut from solid as well. Yeah.
The drive clutches and that all function. Mm-hmm. But as I say, the impeller itself is not running fast enough.
Yeah, for the size of it.
It's what carries the gears and the 3 clutches for the...
So that's for clutching the Supercharger, the 2-speed Supercharger.
It is, and it works in much the same way as a car clutch.
What actuates it?
These are clutch release. I
Is
can't
it
move
vacuum? Is it? What actually decides when to clutch in the other stage?
It can either be manual from the pilot, or after a certain period in time, they went over to an automatic barometric switch.
Right.
And it's a cam operated set of 3 clutch release arms, and it works just the same as a car. So this bearing you can see up here is exactly the same principle as the release bearing on a car clutch.
Yep.
And that's the only difference with these clutches, which aren't actually fitted to this obviously at the moment, is they're centrifugally assisted.
Oh, okay.
And they're very small.
Yeah.
Like a motorbike model.
So there's 3 of them. You've got 3 clutches.
There's 3, yeah. There's 2 high-speed clutches and 1 low-speed.
Ah, right. Yeah. Wow. Because Barry had to make all this in kind of size. Yeah.
He sent me a lot of photographs years and years ago when he was actually building this thing. Of it's all laid out in pieces.
Yeah, I've got them.
They look, and the big thing about it was, because even at that point, this is a long time ago now, I was already working on these on a fairly daily basis, and you could see, like, it just looked exactly the same, because you know what something looks like in your head, and that's how I knew how brilliant that model was, because it just looks exactly the same.
So bearing in mind the Supercharger doesn't scale?
No.
I presume the Carburetor scaled to some...
No, it doesn't.
Does it not? Is that going to be different? That's the Carburetor.
It is. That's the SU twin barrel carb.
The SU twin barrel carb.
Off the same engine.
Is it?
You've just been looking at it.
I was just about to say, will that move? And it moved. They're big old butterflies, aren't they?
They are. Actually, when this relates to this Supercharger as well, takeoff at sea level is about there, half throttle, something like that. So it's not working at its most efficient. And as you climb in altitude, it lets more and more air in to compensate for the drop in atmospheric pressure. So when you get to about 8,000 feet, it makes its maximum power. And then when we get to about 14,000 feet, the Supercharger can actually change into its high gear because it's a 2-speed. But if it didn't, that would be your critical altitude or your, ceiling before the power starts to tail off again.
Yep, with the altitude.
Yeah.
Now, Barry said to me that on his carburetor, because he can't scale the aerodynamics, he only uses 1 barrel. And I'm not even sure if it's the same size, if it's scaled. But in order to get the speed of the air through his carburetor, he only uses the 1 barrel.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And there are various things you can't scale. Airflow being one of them.
But I mean, as carburetors go, if you had a scrap one, it would make a marvellous cup holder.
Yeah, the 2 things that I remember.
You had 2 pints in there, wouldn't you?
You would.
Easily.
Because if you imagine that, shall we say in theory, you want the same gas speed through the carburetor. Now when you're talking to a 5th size, obviously a 5th of the gas speed wouldn't work.
Yeah, it's not going to
So in actual fact, the size of the carburetor board and that is substantially smaller than scale.
To get the speed through it?
Yeah, to get the gas speed up.
Yeah. Now I should have thought of that, but I didn't. So that's a departure from...
Yeah. Although on the Merlin it's a twin choke carburetor, in actual fact it's only the 1 choke works.
Right.
Because of the
keep the speed up.
Yeah.
Well, there's something I didn't know. I've never actually seen it run. Well, I've seen video of it run, but I've never seen it or heard it go. And then you've got little things like it's got its own set of instruments, which I always thought you'd made. But last time I mentioned it, you said you'd adapted them from somewhere.
Well, they're mainly conversions of proprietary units.
But they're 5th scale as well,
yeah,
little 5th scale cards. Again, this is another thing Barry did with Bluebird, was some instruments on the side that were shot to bits. And instruments in the cockpit, the tacho indicator, and you made a new card for the jet pipe temperature sensor because we couldn't get the right one.
Yeah.
And then it was discovered that the tacho indicator, the rev counter, didn't match up to the thing that drove it, so that was all recalibrated inside.
Yeah.
And we got a big long sheet of graph paper which showed where it was accurate and where it wasn't. We're on the workshop going, what's Barry done now? You get that right. And then, as I said, there was the little instruments on the side, so the ones on your engine are all adapted from elsewhere. Yeah. And another thing I remember from way back when, which you can confirm or deny, is that the oil pipes, all those little thin rigid pipes, are all the same stuff that hypodermic
all the
needles are made.
hypodermic tubing.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Except
Yeah, because the stainless steel hypo tubing, you can get anything from sort of 1/2 mil diameter up to 10, 12 mil diameter.
Yeah. That'll be a big needle.
Fill it with low melting point alloy to bend it, and it's quite easy to use. In theory.
Says Barry. It's quite easy to use, a bit like the magneto winding machine, and the thing with the master cam, the grind 5th scale camshaft, and the jig with concentric holes for the oil holes in the ends of the crankshaft journals. And what else was really easy, Barry? Drilling hundreds of 10 thou diameter holes in piston rings whilst only breaking 2 drills. It's really straightforward, really, isn't it? We should all have one.
Oh, the repetition element of it was quite, quite boring.
I can imagine the repetition was quite boring, but getting to the point where you can repeat something and turn out these parts, that's not boring. Everybody knows you had to make squillions of piston rings. But if you'd said to me, how do you make a piston ring? First of all, I wouldn't have thought I'll start with cast iron because I hate this stuff. And then I wouldn't have thought you would crack it to make it bigger. And then I wouldn't have known you had to heat treat it as well. That's just going above and beyond.
Yeah.
I thought you would just turn it out of a piece of solid and mill a slot in it and away you go.
Yeah.
So that's me told. And then you've got things like, even the frame that the thing sits on, it's all the proper green colour with the tube rivets in it. And well, you're not fed up by that point.
That was basically the Hurricane setup.
Yeah.
The reason I chose that, if you look at the Spitfire installation, it's covered in tanks both fore and aft, and you can't see the engine.
Right.
With the Hurricane setup, the coolant takeoff is at the rear of the block, and everything is clear of the engine itself, so you can see the engine itself.
Proper look at it.
So that was the obvious choice.
And how did you make those little exhaust, I don't know what you call them, little stubs, little aft-facing stubs? What are they made of?
From memory, they're made up out of sheet steel.
Well, yeah, that's what they look like, but they're all absolutely identical.
Yeah.
And they must have been repetitive. But you still had to make the first one so you could repeat it for the second one.
Yeah. So I'll forget now. There we go. Now.
Bend them round a little tool and solder them or something. Yeah, it's not obvious how they look. Yeah. And what's the propeller made of?
The propeller's epoxy glass.
Right.
All moulded from a master. I've still got the moulds for those actually, but the propeller, I had a lot of problem getting all the information on it, because at the time the people, I'm forgetting the name of them now, but they were down Redditch way, and I dropped on them about the time they were getting rid of all their records. So fortunately, both with the Merlin and the Eagle, I was able to get hold of the full documentation on them.
Well, that's handy.
And that was quite useful.
What about the little stickers, if I can call them stickers? The little logos and things.
They're all handmade, all hand painted.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh hell. And I see, what was the other thing I remember about the propellers? There was something else you told me about the propellers. I can't think. I'll come back to that. And the constant speed hub.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me all that works as well.
It's all there, but of course it won't do anything at that size.
Right, got you. Amazing.
It's the same with the petrol pump, the injector pumps and that. They all work, but they won't actually do much in the size they are.
Yeah. That's the other thing I was going to ask you. You got all the little, and we handled a lot of bits of Rolls Royce fuel system with the Orpheus engines, and they've all got those little brass plates on that says Rolls Royce. Well, it says Lucas gas turbine equipment.
Well, they're made the same way as you do printed circuits.
Right.
You make up the master, I forget, probably about 10 times size, photograph it, then use the negative to expose brass plate which has been sensitively coated, then etched in ferric chloride. And etch it in ferric chloride, then before you strip it off, you blacken it. So when you strip the resist off, you're left with the polished brass.
Right.
lettering.
And the black. Yeah.
It sounds complicated, but it's easier to do than it sounds.
Yeah. Well, it just sounds complicated, and I don't think I would get it right first time off. But I hear what you're saying. So it's a hell of a creation. So when you first ever started it, did it just go? Or did you have to?
It was quite a well. It was a non-event in a way, because I thought, right, well, we'll try and start the damn thing, and the bloody thing ran.
It just went.
It just went.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. You didn't have to tweak it or tune it. No.
It started remarkably easily.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Was it really tight when you first assembled it? Did you have to bed it in, or did it just turn?
No, it was quite well. Different. The Eagle's a different matter altogether.
Yeah, I know you said you had a few things with that. Right, I'll stop the camera and check that's worked, and then I'll ask you a few things about the Eagle. Have you still got any of the little rod and fork and rod and blades and pistons? We'll do a deep dive on Barry's Rolls Royce Eagle engine in the next one, because if you thought the Merlin was good, wait till you see this. So in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe. And here is the last of Barry's Merlin pictures for your enjoyment. We'll see you on part 3. And how about this? 1 or 2 people have had technical questions for Barry. So if you have a technical question for Barry, put it in the comments and we'll see if we can get a bit of a question and answer session going with him. That could be fun.
Well, let's face it, it hasn't been run since the 80s.
Well, if you ever want to run it, you know, say the word and I'm sure we'll get you some willing and capable helpers.
Yeah.
And come along, we'll get a few of the Bluebird crew and we'll carry it down the stairs for you into the garden. And then you can get a tune out of it for old time's sake. Then we'll carry it back in for you. Anytime you want.
Yeah.